And now we'll look at the news from the business sector. In Chicago's working-class Pilsen neighborhood, a 60s-era oil-fired power plant raises up from an industrial lot behind Durek Park, which is warmer weather, is packed with children climbing on its colorful playground and zooming down slides.
The rarely used 8-unit Fisk power plant owned by Houston-based NRG Energy was scheduled to retire next year, but then came electricity demands from artificial intelligence. Prices shot up in the country's biggest power market, PJM Interconnection, as electricity requests from data centers exceeding existing supplies, sounding the alarm over power shortfalls and making Fisk and other plants like it suddenly profitable. The Fisk power plant is among a growing number of so-called peaker electric generating units being pressed into duty across the U.S. as the nation's electrical grid struggled to keep up with growing demand from data centers powering big tech's investments in artificial intelligence. Peakers, which are meant to run only in short bursts during periods of spiking electricity demand, help stave off blackouts by supplying power on a moment's notice. But there are trade-offs. These often decades-old fossil-fueled facilities emit more pollution when they are running and cost more to produce electricity than continuous power plants.
So I think for Midwest Generation Energy, I think there have to be good neighbors and responsible also for the record, the horrible environmental racism that plagued for way too long in our community. So it's my hope that they actually discuss with the community in good faith and openly what are the community benefits, because we bear all the costs and rarely see any benefits.
A Reuters analysis of filings with the country's biggest power grid shows that about 60% of oil, gas, and coal power plants slated for retirement in PJM postponed or canceled those plans this year. The Fisk peakers were built on the site of a now defunct coal-fired electricity generating station that operated for over a century. After years of fierce opposition by local residents, the coal plant shut down more than a decade ago, but 8 peaking units that run on petroleum oil continue to operate on the site. Following the coal plant closure, pollution plummeted, but it didn't vanish. Sulfur dioxide ranged from about 2 to as much as 25 tons per year from the site, according to the Environmental Protection Agency, as the 8-unit peaker plant occasionally lumbered to life to feed the grid. Because they were built for speed instead of efficiency, peakers often do not have pollution controls like mercury scrubbers, which remove the toxic chemical from the power plant's emissions and filters for particulate matter, according to academic and federal government research. Some also have lower smokestacks or chimneys, environmental advocates say, meaning pollution can be more concentrated locally.
Palestinian Saeed Abdin in Gaza's Khan Yunis bids farewell last week to his 1-month-old son, Saeed, who died from hypothermia, according to medics.
The mourning father recalled how he rushed his freezing infant to the hospital at night, only to receive the news of his death the next day. Saeed is one of 13 people who died from exposure in Gaza amid a harsh storm this month, according to local health authorities and pediatric specialist at Nasser Hospital, Assad al-Nawajah. Torrential rain swept across the Gaza Strip this December, flooding hundreds of tents sheltering families displaced by 2 years of war and collapsing buildings. Authorities on Gaza warned last Monday that more war-damaged buildings may collapse because of heavy rain in the devastated Palestinian enclave and said the weather was making it hard to recover bodies still under the rubble. Israel and Hamas agreed to a ceasefire in October after 2 years of intense bombardment and military operations, but violence has not completely halted. Palestinian health authorities say Israeli forces have killed 400 people in Gaza since the truce.
Napoli lifts the Italian Super Cup with a 2-0 win over Bologna in Riyadh. David Neres netting both goals to earn the league champions a deserved victory over the toothless Coppa Italia winners.
Neres opened the scoring with a stunning strike from distance 6 minutes before the break and found the net again in the 57th minute when Bologna were caught trying to play out of defense. Napoli, who beat holders AC Milan 2-0 in Thursday's semi-final, won their third Super Cup and first since 2014, while Bologna, who overcame Inter Milan 3-2 on penalties after a 1-1 draw on Friday, failed at their first attempt to win the trophy. This was the third edition of the Italian Super Cup under the new format with 4 teams involved, but Series A president Ezio Simonelli hinted that it could be the last. Napoli forward Matteo Politano told Mediaset, quote, "We came here as champions of Italy, we wanted this trophy and we showed it with a great performance," unquote.
A startup in Shanghai uses AI image recognition and blockchain technology to help standardize China's $100 billion tea industry.
Tecan Technologies, formed at the beginning of this year, digitizes the unique image of each of their fermented pure tea cakes, which can then be traced on their app. High-grade pure tea gains in value the more it ages and can be a long-term investment. Founder and CEO Eric Ma said Tecan uses each tea cake's unique fingerprint to offer a full solution to industry pain points like counterfeiting and lack of trust between buyers and sellers by offering digital authentication, a fully insured storage environment, and ownership records saved on blockchain. Prized vintage tea cakes can be worth more than wine or whiskey, selling for several million RMB. In 2013, a set of tea cakes from the early 1900s sold for $1.47 million at a Beijing auction.
So the beauty of pure tea is it has no expiry date. Because it needs time to have it to convert or to transform over time for the microbiotics. And we really strongly recommend people to buy good new tea because you really have no idea like the old tea in the market where did it come from, or the storage environment, or like you have no idea whether the people just wanna cheat on you and make certain money from you because you just want some good old tea.
Ma said Tecan has sold tens of thousands of their tea cakes, which are produced in collaboration with legacy tea brands Black Hornet Tea and Six Famous Tea Mountain, and cost $99.93 each. Tecan is part of a slew of Chinese firms interested in launching real-world asset or RWA tokens, which offers new funding avenues for niche products and industries. On the Chinese tropical island of Hainan, Huanghua trees, a rare kind of rosewood prized by Chinese emperors, are being photographed to be turned into RWA tradable tokens by Geely Technology Group, which could mark the world's first tokenization of tradable real-world assets that are biological in nature. Another example includes China Qidianguo Feng Holdings, which has said that some 62 metric tons of its baijiu have been used as the underlying assets in an RWA project. The project, arranged by a key shareholder, aims to raise 500 million Hong Kong dollars.
And that's all we have for this hour. Thank you for watching. Wish you all a very pleasant time ahead.
ශාලු දිවෙහි රාජ්‍යය වෝන් එම්මෙ ರೀತಿ ಗೊಂಡುದಶವಾದ ಕೊರಣಿ ಅಲಿಫ್ದಾಲ್ ಮಂದು ತುಂಡಿ ಗಾಫಲಿಫ್ ದೆವ್ವದು ಬೀಚ್ ರಾಹುಳು ದುಫ್ಫಾರು ಹುಳು ದುಫ್ಫಾರು ಬೀಚ್ ಲವ್ಯಣಿ ಹಿನ್ನವರು ರೀತಿ ಬೀಚ್